Fantasy Football Fools. We are back with the Week 1 recap. Sorry for the delay. We had a couple hiccups in the scheduling this week, but we're here. We're back. And it's time to get into last week's matchup. How are you feeling coming out of Week 1?
Not so great. We got Jeff, who put up a very good score. But before we go into this, I do want to say that the mini game we usually draw beginning of the podcast. I don't have all the mini games on there. I wanted to change a couple of them up, and I just haven't had the time to do that yet. So we're gonna draw for 2 of them next week.
Double trouble.
Also, this is the divisions. Maybe Ryan can screenshot that, or we'll screenshot that. I guess it'll just be on Facebook. So this is actually pinned to the top. So hopefully every time you go on Facebook and on the league page, this is what you first see. The average was 103.84. And so if you won that, you got a win. If you lost to that, you got an L, which I lost to it. So we can go into me and Jeff's matchup. Jeff had a really good game. I started off well with Diggs. Rodgers disappointed, and so did Ramondre Stevenson. If they both get 10, I'm 10 each at least. I'm in the thick of it with Jeff. So my team actually did pretty well if you just kind of minus those two out. But I know my running backs are going to take some time to get their footings, because a lot of them are rookies or 2-year players or second-year players. So I'm going to need to steal some wins. I need to steal a win from Ryan this week. And hopefully I can just get some wins at the end of the year to kind of make it up. But my team is not looking great, but hopefully we'll get better. But going to Jeff's team, he balled out. His running backs did not, but the rest of his team did. Actually, his quarterback sucked too. Justin Jefferson with a 35. If you lose with a 35 on your team, you're kind of buns. But really, Jefferson and Pittman just did all his heavy lifting. They got 56, 57-ish out of both of those. So we said this on probably the draft pod. Those two are really good. Justin Jefferson has the chance to be a number 1 receiver this year, and Pittman's got top 5 potential. So Jeff's team's looking pretty scary, but Dak's hurt, and he dropped Dalton Schultz. I don't know who his new tight end is, so he's got some work cut out for him. I think Aaron Jones and Josh Jacobs. At least Aaron Jones will probably bounce back, but I don't know about Josh.
Yeah, dropped Dalton Schultz after a 9.7 performance, or 9.7 out of the tight end spot is pretty solid. So I'm not sure why Jeff decided that he was done. Maybe it was the Dak injury, or he didn't have the stack anymore, so he just didn't want to do that. But I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. Justin Jefferson pretty much wins this game for him. 35, that's crazy. I guess even if he got 20, it would have been close. But nonetheless, what a performance from Jeff's wide receivers there. And yeah, your team, Diggs killed it, but then aside from Mixon, everybody else kind of just an average day. But I'm excited for our matchup this week, and I think I think I can get you.
Yeah, I did start off well with Juju getting a 3. So
yeah, big jail.
Yeah, well, without Justin Jefferson's 35, he doesn't beat the average if he gets that 20. So Jeff, his score is kind of bloated just because of those 2 receivers. So I don't know, something to look for this week and maybe the upcoming weeks for Jeff. He looks strong right now, but this score is very heavily bloated for him. So it's going to be interesting to see how he does next week. But we'll go to the worst guy in the league, allegedly, from our pre-show rankings, to James. What do you think about this matchup?
I think this was kind of a surprise for everybody. I think Rudy kind of showed everybody that maybe his team isn't so bad. He had a great week from Jalen Hurts. Jonathan Taylor obviously put up, what you would expect out of your number 1 overall pick. Jalen Waddle and Travis Kelce killed it. Maybe that early tight end pick pays off, but then you see him in last night's game and he only got like 4 or 5 points. So yeah. I don't know. We're going to have that tight end strategy that Rudy took, I think, is going to kind of be the story of his season. But I think it pays off here because he obviously demolished James and put up, I think, the second highest score in the league. And after coming out of the draft, being voted worst team in the league, go out and put on a performance like this, I'm sure Rudy's feeling good. And even look at Michael Thomas on the bench there with 20. Imagine if he would have had him in instead of Darnell Mooney. He would have went nuts.
Yeah, he did really well, but this doesn't. You shouldn't take too much from James's team. 108 beats the average. Trey Lance, really bad game. The elements really had him flustered. And there's going to be rain in San Francisco this week and Sunday for their game. So who knows how Trey Lance is going to do. But his rest of the team, his top four, two running backs, top wide receivers did very well. Damian Pierce had a bad game. Who knows? Rex Burkhead, I think, had like 75% of the snaps versus Pierce's like 21%. So it's going to be interesting to see. I think he has Rex Burkhead on on the bench too. So I think he has him starting this week instead of Pierce. But I mean, good job from James. He gets the win from the average, going up against the second highest score of the league. So that's good to be 1-1 at least. And he'll get Kittle back for that tight end position. So I think he's actually playing this week for sure. He might be still questionable, but I think they said he's trending to play. So James' team looked good. I would be scared. If I was playing him this week, I'd be pretty scared to play him. Jamar Chase just looked like the number one wide receiver in the league. He just was getting all the targets, especially when T. Higgins went down. So James' team is still looking okay. If Trey Lance can bounce back and have a great year, that team will be pretty good. So we'll go to your matchup with Johnny, which I think was the closest matchup of the week. Yes, it was. So this came down to Monday night. How were you feeling before the Monday night game?
I was feeling all right. We had a pretty big bet on the line too, so it was a lot of emotions coming into that night. But I just needed Rashad Penny to get me, I think, 12 points, and he just didn't quite get it. I think he probably needed a touchdown to get that. I mean, a 7.7 isn't terrible. I knew that was going to be probably one of my weak spots. But, it came down to that last game, and I couldn't pull it out. I mean, coming into the day with a 0 out of my tight end spot definitely didn't help. I had T. Higgins go down early. And, I mean, other than that, my team did pretty well, great up at the top with Lamar and DeAndre Swift, and Devontae Adams balled out. Terry McLaurin got a touchdown. My defense and kicker sucked, but I'm switching those up. That's no problem. I mean, the core of my team I feel good about. But this week I just got hit with some bad luck. I mean, Irv Smith, I think, had 4 or 5 targets, just didn't pull any of them in. And then T. Higgins going down in the first or second quarter was just brutal. So I think I can bounce back. I'm not worried about you because I think after last week, I don't know. I don't think you're kind of at the bottom.
Yeah, I would have to tend to agree with my team so far. Not looking great. But Johnny, how are you feeling? Mahomes is just slinging that ball to the end zone.
Yeah, dude. Mahomes has been just having a field day, especially versus Arizona. I mean, that guy, he just couldn't stay out of throwing touchdown passes, and I know Johnny was happy about that. I don't remember how early. Did he get him in the 3rd round or the 4th?
I would guess 3rd round. Josh Allen went 2nd. 4th round. Wow.
4th round. Yeah, I mean, that's still an early QB pick, but I'm sure Johnny was pretty happy about that coming out of this one, especially after as close as this win was. I mean, if Patrick Mahomes just has a normal QB day, I would win this game. But he just balled out, and it kind of helped Johnny, I think, for some of his. He got a 0 out of his flex, a 1 out of the tight end. He had a few positions fall short too, so I'm sure that Mahomes number made him pretty happy.
Yeah, and like I said with Jeff, if you get a 35 point from any position, it's going to be hard to lose. And Johnny actually almost lost with that 0 with Devontae and the tight end Dawson Knox with a 1. So he pulled it off, though. He did not win the average, so he is 1-1, which is the nice little quirk. Or I don't know if you call it nice if you're Johnny, but the weird little quirk that we have this year. So it's going to be interesting how that average score plays out. But wins are just as important just because that's how the standings kind of look on ESPN with the waiver wire and stuff like that, I guess. So we'll go to Chris and the defending champions game. And Chris won 107-91. Give or take a couple 0.2 points, but Chris did pretty well. Saquon actually went off. He went off for an 80-yard touchdown. I don't know if that was actually a touchdown, but a huge run. I think he got the touchdown a couple rushes later. He looks like a first overall pick, at least last game. It just really depends on how long he can sustain without getting an injury. Christian McCaffrey actually had a really slow day. I had him in dailies, and he wasn't really the focal point in that offense.
Same. Terrible.
So I don't know what Baker and Christian. I mean, if I was Christian McCaffrey, I want more touches. If I was 100% healthy and with a new quarterback, he's gonna need to talk to Baker about that, I think, because that's their best player. So we'll see how that goes. Justin Fields, not too bad. 14 points or 13.64. Not the best. He didn't look all that great, but again, with the elements, you can't really throw with a torrential downpour.
We won the game. All right.
Yeah, so the Bears won the game, but for Chris's sake, he needs a little bit more production from Justin. But I don't know if that's going to be a sunny day is going to either help him or hurt him. I don't know. The defense should have probably played better. 49ers defense didn't play that great. But Chris' team did really well. Antonio Gibson, nice 17 or 16 and a half. A lot of people were thinking he's a bust this year. At least he had a good week one. Hopefully he continues that for Chris's sake. But what do you get? 106? Yeah, 106, not too bad. What did you think about Chewy's team?
Chewy's team didn't look very scary, especially out of that wide receiver position. Neither of those top two guys came out with double digits. His flex barely. Austin Eckler, not really too active in week one. We saw a little bit more of him last night, but not really till like the fourth quarter. So yeah, I don't know, man. Chewy's team, at least coming out of week one first impression, not very scary. What do you think about Chewy's team?
Yeah, Javonte Williams did a lot better than I thought. I think he's going to get – I think as the season goes on, I think he's going to get more and more carries, and Melvin's going to kind of not deteriorate, but his carry, the share is going to kind of go down because Javonte just kind of looked a little bit more explosive and a little bit better. I was watching that game pretty hard. We had a big bet on it. But, yeah, I agree with you. Wide receivers look weak. I said that in my pregame or my – not pregame, my
power rankings?
My power rankings, that they just don't have that wow factor. And Justin Herbert might have just broke a couple ribs. So if without Justin Herbert, which I think was a fifth round pick, Chewy might be scrambling a little bit. He's got no QB on the bench. It'll be interesting to see who he picks up and if he has to pick anybody up. Herbert does have a little bit extra long since he just had a game. But yeah, Chewy's team, kind of like mine, does not look great right now. I mean, for his sake, he's just going to have to hope Baker and Trubisky just throw the ball a little bit better than they did because his wide receivers do not have good quarterbacks. I mean, Lamar's a good quarterback, but you don't really think of him as a throwing quarterback as much. He can sling the ball. But, yeah, Chewy might have a little bit trouble in that wide receiver part this year.
Yeah.
So we'll go to Nick's team with the highest score and the rookie of the league versus Jimmy.
First game in the league, highest score. I bet he was feeling good about that.
Yeah, so what do you think about his team?
I mean, here we go. Another guy with a 30-pointer on his team who won handily. No surprise there. And then he had 220 balls, three 20 balls if you look at the Dolphins D. I didn't even see that down there. 320 balls plus a 30. I mean, he was going nuts. But if you look at like his other running back that didn't get 20, his other receiver that didn't get 20, all single digits. Tight end, single digits. Flex, single digits. So I think it was Jeff's team kind of like that, just very inflated on key players. But I mean, if that's a sustainable number for those guys, then Nick's got a real scary team. But if they're not going to come out and drop 20s like that, I don't know. What do you think about Nick's team here?
Yeah, you think Clyde did really well last night. Got a couple good catches. I don't know what he actually got, but I don't know. Clyde looks like a different person in this offense, which is good for you. Got
13, not bad.
Kamara, I don't know. I didn't really watch that Saints game too much, but I think he's going to do better than 6.1 on most nights. Keenan Allen's hurt. I got to agree with you. Just inflated numbers, but those get you wins, and you just got to have those guys do the right thing at the right time. And when you put up 132, I mean, it's just a good because all his single digits are pretty close to doubles, like Butker 9, 9.9, 8.6, pretty close. But yeah, good game by Nick. We'll
Yeah,
go to
definitely a
Jimmy's
good
team,
game.
which is also had a very good week, beat the average. He got 109. Tom Brady, not a great day, but Leonard Fournette with the double digits. You got A.J. Dillon, who he swapped out for Cam Akers, who got a goose egg, which was a very good swap there. Did very well. I think he got a touchdown. Yeah, I think he got the rushing touchdown. And the Cooper Kupp did the masterful job that first game. He got a lot of catches. I think Stafford's going to be his favorite target. I like Jimmy. I actually really like Jimmy's team. I think his team is, after coming out of week one, is probably one of the not most scary, but one of the more surprising teams. And maybe that's not the best word for it too, but I really do like Jimmy's team. And I think that his team's heading up.
Yeah, I mean, I think the usage of A.J. Dillon, I think, is going to be big for Jimmy, especially having him in the RB2 spot. If he keeps getting as many touches as he did last game and they keep splitting like that, I think, yeah, this is going to be a pretty good team. I mean, these numbers seem to be like, I mean, Cooper Kupp's 25. I mean, that's kind of what you expect out of a receiver like that, I guess. I mean, these seem like sustainable numbers. So, yeah, this team could get scary. Tom Brady even only put up 10. I mean, if he puts up like a 20, that's a 119. Like, I mean, yeah, Jimmy's team's looking real good right now. Amon-Ra St. Brown looks like he's going to probably have a pretty good year. Jared Goff seemed to be looking his way a lot. DK Metcalf, I think he put up pretty much what everybody expected. I think he was probably on most people's not super excited to draft list with his new quarterback situation, and he just didn't get a lot of production. But, yeah, I mean, Jimmy's team looks good. But, I mean, again, if Nick can keep getting these guys in here dropping 20s and 30s, I mean, he's going to have a scary team moving forward too.
Yeah, and DK had a fumble, so that's also -2. So really, if DK doesn't fumble, that's 7.1, which looks a little bit better, but it's not that much better. But we'll go to the worst matchup of the week, which I thought was going to be the best matchup of the week. 1 and 2 in my power rankings, and they just totally went flat. Both of them weren't even close to the average. They actually dragged the average down so more people could get the average. So they gave you guys. So if you're really close to the average, these guys are to thank for that. I'll start off with Dom's team. I'll let you kind of do Lubasi's team a little bit more. So Dom's team, the one that I really liked, Elijah Mitchell did get hurt. So that kind of sucks for him. But 0 with Cole Kmet, which I really like Cole Kmet. But I don't know if I would have started him with the weather, knowing what Chicago's weather was that game. That's just a tough passing air attack. That's just going to be tough with all that wind and the rain. But Mike Evans looked good. Derrick Henry didn't do what you expect a first-round pick to do. Kyler Murray just got blown out, so a lot of those points were kind of just like cheapies. The Chiefs kind of just said, I don't really care about this anymore. I didn't really watch that game too much, but Kyler will do pretty much 20 points. That's what you expect Kyler to do. With just all his rushing yards and stuff. And Zeke, I know you were down with Zeke. I was kind of down with Zeke. Did not do well. None of the Cowboys did well, and who knows what he's gonna do without Dak for at least 4 weeks. I think his
the
star
hashtag start Pollard going.
Yeah, I think the star of his team right now is his kicker, Ryan Suckup, with 14. Without that, he would have had in the 60s if he got like a normal kicker's like 8, 9. It's like 7 maybe. Yeah, 7. He would have got a 60s, and that would have been very embarrassing if I were Dom. So what'd you think of Dom? And then you can go into Lubasi's pitiful performance as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit on it. I mean, there's not a lot to talk about with Dom's team. It's a tough break. We all get them. This is hopefully he's looking to bounce back I know he's looking to bounce back, but hopefully he can bounce back this week because this just had to be a brutal Sunday for Dom. And Lubasi should be thanking the heavens that this was his week 1 matchup because he would have lost to literally anyone else. Puts up an 84, still gets a win. I mean, Russell Wilson, just something about that Broncos team just did not look right in that Monday night game. I don't really know how Russell Wilson even pulled out a 17 because watching that game, he did not look like a 17. And I don't know, but I have to imagine it was because he was in Seattle, something. I hope for Lubasi's sake that it was something in his head, like fucking him up mentally, because if he looks like that all season, then he's, I don't know, man. But nonetheless, 17, I guess, still a good score. Like I said, I don't know how he got that because he did not look like he did. But yeah, and then I guess tying into that, Cortland Sutton, he didn't look like he was looking at him very much early, but it looked like he started getting some targets as the game went on. CeeDee Lamb only got a 3.9. Now Dak's hurt. That's a tough blow for Lubasi. Travis Etienne looks like he's splitting carries with James Robinson, and James Robinson went crazy. So be interesting to see how that split carries on as the season goes. I guess his shining star here, Gabe Davis, out of the flex spot. That Bills offense looked just insane last Thursday. Gabe Davis looked good, so great pick by Lubasi. I think he was pretty high on your radar too. But yeah, Lubasi's got to be at least a little bit worried right now, I think, with the way his team looked in week 1. I don't think we've talked about it too much with him so far yet, but yeah, him and Dom both got to be really looking to bounce back. What's your thoughts on Lubasi here?
Yeah, pretty much everything you said. Najee got hurt, I think, in the second or third quarter, so you probably add like at least 5-6 more points with him if he doesn't get hurt. I know he's playing this week, or at least he should be playing this week. But still, you still get like a 90, not too well. CeeDee Lamb, I have him in my other league. That's a huge loss on Dak. I don't know. Yeah, Lubasi and Dom's team. I know Mike Williams went off yesterday, so that was really good for Dom and probably sigh of relief for him. But yeah, Lubasi needs to have a big week just to get the confidence up, because scoring an 84 is not fun. But you did get the win and didn't beat the average, so you're 1-1. That's the good thing about like James 108. He's got the same record as Lubasi. It kind of just evens it out. It's going to be interesting to see how that average plays out kind of more towards like the middle of the year and, of course, the end of the year. It's going to be very interesting to see how this really plays off. I'm excited to see it. I think it actually makes it a little bit more fair.
Not working out for us very well.
Not really, yeah, not yet. But it's still it's a good idea, and I'm glad we're at least trying it for 1 year. If we hate it, we can always say no to it. But it's a good idea to make better teams more in it towards the end of the year. So it'll be interesting. We got week 2 coming up. We just had the game yesterday. I'm excited for week 2. I got Ryan. Hopefully my team can show up and I can squeak one out.
Nah, Gerald Everett started us off right, baby. 10.2 or 10.3. That's a great tight end score.
Yeah, it's 100% better than your tight end score last week.
0. Yeah, way better than that. Yeah, I think we're both probably coming into week 2 really crossing our fingers. Like, we got to get at least 1 in the winning column, whether it be over the win or over the average. We got to do something here.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind if we both get over the average just to keep that confidence up, because if you start 0-4, I mean, really, if you start 0-4, you're really starting to like only 0-2, but just that 0-4 looks so bad.
Yeah,
so
that looks real bad. Yeah, and everything changes so fast in this league. We got injuries and we got people surpassing people and everything else and trades. I mean, you just never know how things are going to shake out. So I'm not discouraged that I'm 0-2. It sucks, especially the way that I lost. If my tight end could have just scored some points, but whatever. 0-2. I'm confident I can bounce back. Like I said, I feel good about the core of my team. I can build around them. Let's go. I hope our game's high scoring, but I plan to win for sure.
Yeah, as do I. So we'll see how it goes. I can't wait.
All right. Well, I guess that wraps it up for us, unless you got any closing thoughts.
Nope. Just here's the standings. If you guys want to see, again, Facebook page will be the pinned every week, and then I just do the average score on that Tuesday. So that's where you'll find it.
All right. Well, that is a week 1 recap. Thanks everybody for playing. Good luck in week 2, and we will see you next week for the week 2 recap.
Peace.